The following is a recorded memory of Annika Kjellberg from the Vault of Memory at Monarch Securities. Top priority security clearance required to listen to this recording.
I landed near to the large white building. It would have been disrespectful to Mr. Vaderung to alight directly on the edifice itself. The huge glass walls of Monarch Securities' Oslo headquarters rose into the sky like the branches of a huge glass and steel tree. The irony was not lost on me. The lights of multiple elevators moved up and down like luminous creatures scaling the transparent branches of the world. My vacation in Detroit had been a relief, although frankly I had been surprised when my superior, Miss Voll, had allowed it. Obviously being injured while fighting off an incursion from Niflheim gave one a certain status, but that's a story for another time. I looked down at a small instant photograph taken on a cheap Polaroid camera. It showed the healer, Dr. Pritchard, myself, and Shadowfist, a black-clad vigilante who took himself far too seriously. And if one of the Shield Maidens tells you that you're too serious, you have problems. But he was young, less than 100 years old. He still had time to grow. The only person missing from the picture was Michael. He'd been the one taking the photo. Strange that he wasn't in it, having insisted on taking the picture as a memento before I'd left to return to Oslo. Yes, a vacation had been exactly what I needed. A chance to let my hair down, figuratively speaking, and get my hands dirty without having to swim the murky waters of politics that seemed ever to encroach on daily life. Sometimes I missed the old days. I envy humans their ability to forget things. Sometimes if I paused and closed my eyes, I could feel weapons in my hand as though I still held them, hear the cries of my sisters on the wind, and taste the blood of my enemies on my lips. The thought brought the shadow of a smile to my face. But all things have their time, I reflected, as I folded my black feathered wings and a glamour closed over them, hiding them from sight. I tied my hair back, pulling it into a severe ponytail, folded the photo and placed it in the inside pocket of my suit jacket, closest to my heart. I walked through the reception area of Monarch HQ, nodding to the security personnel and flashing them my ID card. Even in this modern age, symbols still have the power to grant or bar access. I considered taking the elevator but decided to stretch my legs, walking through floors containing weapons taken from many different ages of the world. Any museum would have committed heinous crimes to possess even a fraction of the wealth contained in the halls of Monarch Securities. Passing through the gym, I nodded at several of my sisters and favoured souls in training for future battles before reaching Floor 6, home of Monarch's extensive legal department. "Come in, Miss Kjellberg," said the business-like voice of Freya Voll, a few moments before I knocked on the large wooden door to her office. Opening the door, I walked inside and sat down on a comfortable leather armchair, whilst Miss Voll finished perusing a voluminous file on the desk in front of her. Freya Voll was a tall woman who looked as though she had been sculpted by a master craftsman in ancient times. She wore a low-cut shirt and an intricately crafted gold chain hung suggestively around her neck. We had known each other for a long time and through several names, but Freya and Annika were how we knew each other now. "Your time away was restful, I trust," said Freya, casting an appraising eye over a couple of scars that had not yet faded from my holiday in Detroit. A faint hint of a smile tugged at one corner of her mouth. "Yes, it was good for my soul, but now I'm ready to return to work," I replied, seamlessly switching into an ancient Nordic tongue. Freya stood up and clasped both of my arms, smiling wildly and responding in the same tongue. "Good, I'm pleased to hear it. Your timing is apt, as there is a certain matter of great import that needs tending. A situation requiring a strong arm and a loyal heart. Someone just like you." I nodded and she continued. "There is something Mr. Vaderung wants in Moscow. He has directed me to send our best in the finding and getting of things. Skilled as they are, the agents in question need watching after. I can think of no better escort than you, my dear." "Who are these agents?" I asked. Miss Voll spun the file that she had been reading to face me before answering. "The first is a shaman in the Ngango tradition of Central and Eastern Africa, called Caden Naru. He is strong for one so young, and he possesses a rare connection to the spirit realm. The other I think you will have heard of, Alexander Blackheart." "Mr. Vaderung's antiquarian?" I asked. "The very same," replied Miss Voll. "Everything you need to know is in the file. Take as much time as you need to." Already done, I replied. Having flipped through the file, my memory would allow me to recall the details as and when needed. Freya smiled and nodded, and we embraced before I turned and headed for the door. Her voice called out from behind me as she waved. "Good hunting, my dear."